Now, I need to make one more application about this detail, because yes, I know we did talk about this last week, and we spoke how the devil will get into churches and take up a stronghold or a garrison, and I gave you some interesting examples to look at. To beware of wolves in sheep's clothing is something that Paul warns the New Testament church about. But kind of woke up Thursday with another application to that, and sometimes that happens to me. I wake up with sermons in my mind, so I got to write them down. The Holy Spirit prompts me to say these things. But the garrisons are deeper than just in churches. The devil is looking to set up garrisons in people's lives, in individuals' lives. Just because you're a Christian doesn't mean the devil has no access to your life. You can believe in Jesus, but your enemy still can set up a garrison if you give him access, if you give him opportunity. Last week, a young man came to me and he talked about that he decided now that he needs to give up on drinking. He said, I got to put that out of my life. He's a believer in Jesus all along, but he said this is becoming a stronghold for the enemy, a place where the devil is getting in and controlling me. And that's always, dear brothers and sisters, what the devil looks to do. Get into some event in your life, some activity, some opportunity. Addictive behaviors is one area that he can do that. But and once he's in, he creates division. He gets right in the middle, and he creates trouble and chaos in our lives. So addictive behaviors is one area, but that's not the only area. There's all kinds of areas that he can get in and set up a garrison, get a stronghold on you. Lust is one. Bitter and angerness, that's another. Anger actually is very huge. It hurt that is caused by wounds, pain, offenses, things that have been done against us, things that we won't forgive, and we stay hurt, and we stay bitter. These are places where the devil can get in and set up a garrison. It's very easy to get up and preach about drunkenness and preach against lust because those things are messy and very obvious. But wounds or hurts, things that have been done against me that's no fault of my own, it seems justifiable that I should be bitter, that I ought to be angry about these things. And yet, God tells us to what? Forgive, right? God's commands are for us to be forgiving and patient and gracious with people. And if we do not, then we are giving the devil an opportunity to set up a garrison. We allow the devil to set up garrisons in our lives whenever we disobey. Whenever we disobey, which is in effect, that's what sin is, right? Disobedience. We've now opened up a place, a little town where he can get in and set up shop. Our pride, our stubbornness to give some area up to God. The fear of speaking the truth and kicking him out. Sometimes people know they have a problem, but then they don't want to open up. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to deal with it and get the help they need. And our fear lets him stay in and emboldens him. And from that vantage point, from that garrison, he's able to then divide the country and divide the person's life, divide us from the body of Christ. Many people leave churches because they're hurt, don't they? Because they've been wounded or offended. And the division causing that. He uses it to divide our families and divide our homes. He uses it to divide us from the power of God. Because there's sin, and because he's there, we can't enjoy the freedom to worship and the victory over sin and the power of God in our lives, because there's something in the way, this transgression. And if we allow the devil to get a foothold in one area, it doesn't just stop with that area. It becomes now a base of operation where he tries to take more and more control over us. And that's why Jonathan had to attack that garrison at Geba. The Philistines never should have been allowed to set it up to begin with. But now that they're there, it's going to just continue to grow. The longer they're allowed to stay, the stronger they're going to get. They can get reinforcements to that location, and then they can branch out. There's people, maybe even here this morning, who through their sin have given a place in their life for the devil to set up a stronghold. Don't think, well, I've got this contained. This is a sin issue. I will acknowledge that, but this is really the only area I struggle. I'm doing very well in the rest of my life. I think I can handle this. Sin is an uncontrollable fire. You don't contain sin. That would be like lighting a fire in your living room floor and saying, I'm going to contain this fire right to this little spot here, because I just want to burn right here, right? It's not going to happen, is it? It's going to what? Eat away and grow, and eventually it'll cut down through your basement, and it'll grow to all parts of your house. And furthermore, if you had a fire going on in your house, people aren't going to say, they'll say to you, your house is on fire. And you wouldn't say, no, it's my living room. It's just, the house is fine, right? It's just the living room's on fire. Everything else is okay. This is not true, is it? No, if the fire's in one spot, it's in the hole, and the smoke damage is in the hole, and the fire damage is in the hole. The Philistines are not just at Geba. They're where? In the land. They're in the nation of Israel, cutting it in two. Don't try to compartmentalize or minimize the problem. If the devil's got a stronghold in your life in one small area, he's still in there. He's still got a foothold, and it'll just get worse and worse. And many of you know from experience what I'm talking about when you let that stuff happen. You need to get him out. And that's what Jonathan did. The word got out once he did that. Verse number 3 through 4, it says that Jonathan smote the garrison of the Philistines that was in Gibeah, and the Philistines heard of it. Saul blew the trumpet throughout the land, saying, let the Hebrews hear. In verse 4, all Israel heard the news of the Philistines, and also that Israel had become odious to the Philistines. The people were all summoned to Saul at Gilgal. Okay, in those two verses there, did you catch the reoccurring verb that I tried to stress when I said it? It says 3 times that what? Here you go, you got it. The Philistines heard. Saul said, let all the Hebrews hear. And then it says the Israelites heard. In our home, we like to spend time talking about our day, trying to take times to hear what everyone's done. And because, we're not together all day long. We're all at different places, and, everybody's at KCA, but everybody's in different classes. And I'm up here. So we like to take time to talk about it. And supper time is the time when we do that. We don't have the TV on. We don't have the radio on. We're not allowed to text or read at the table. It was a very rule we made a long time ago with the kids. No toys at the table. And it still reigns today. If anybody brings an iPhone or an iPad, we are like, no toys at the table. We have to sit here. And this is our time where we're now going to talk about our day. And Eliana and I, we really enjoy doing this. We can do this all evening, right? We talk away for a long time, and the kids too. They will participate, but sometimes they have other things to do, so they don't want to hang in there quite as long as mom and dad do and listen to all of our boring stories. So basically, what happens? We'll say, well, how was everyone's day? And they will go first, and they will talk about the things that related to them and what happened and what trouble they got into in class and all that. And then they've eaten and they've talked themselves out, and then they excuse themselves and they will go on about their evening. But just because they've left doesn't mean Eliana and I are done. So many times we want to carry on the conversation, and we carry it on while we're cleaning up and on into the evening like that. We generally have a little more, we're long-winded. Now, I don't like repeating myself when I'm telling stories. If anybody else is like me, I just find this aggravating. If I'm going to talk about an account or tell a story about something that happened in my day, I want to tell the story, and I don't want to have to keep repeating the details. Anybody feel me on this? Okay, right? So Rick is notorious for this. Rick will be done his supper. He's told his stuff. He's now checked out of the conversation. He's gone over to the sink. He's cleaning up his dishes. He's moving on, and I'll be telling a story about my day. And then all of a sudden, one of the details, all of a sudden, it catches his attention. And it's interesting. And he goes, oh, wait, what? What happened? Who said that? What was going on? And I'll say, Rick, if you want to hear my story, sit down, pay attention, and you can hear it. But don't come in mid-discussion and interrupt with a whole bunch of questions of things I've already explained that you didn't catch because you weren't paying attention. And usually he says, okay, never mind, and goes about his day because he really doesn't want to take the time to hear the whole story. You can hear things in passing, but not really be listening. Correct? That's not what the Hebrew word Shema, translated heard, means when it says everyone heard. Shema means to hear intellectually, with implication of attention and obedience. Okay? Shema is kind of what we do here in church, for the most part. We're not sitting here yakking amongst ourselves, looking at our phones, chit-chatting away, and then maybe you are paying attention or something catches your attention up here. No, for the most part, you all sit quietly and you listen attentively. I say for the most part because I've sat through enough meetings and enough classes that I know you could be sitting quietly but not necessarily be paying attention. Am I right? Right? You could just be sitting there someplace else in your mind. Now, here's one of the rules of teaching or public speaking. In order for people to pay attention, to listen attentively, Shema, you need to be talking about things that capture their attention, right? Should be interesting. Well, one of the things I know that seems to get everyone's attention is when one of the things that happens in the day is if somebody says at the table, well, there was a fight today. What? A fight? Do tell. What happened, right? As soon as you say fight, Robbie used to do this all the time when he was at Esperanza Middle School. He'd come home and be like, how was your day? There was a fight on the bus and the cops were called. What? What is going on with your craziness? He'd say, I was in a fight in the locker room. And mom's right away there, a mother's going to say, were you hurt? And dad's first question is, did you win? Jason, you're feeling me on that, right? Did you hit him? What happened? You want to know that. There was an attack at the garrison at Geba. What? Who was it? What happened? Who won? And everyone is paying attention to that one. First of all, we got the Philistines, and they heard about it. And, well, they heard what? That we got beat, right? We went up there, and they attacked us and ran us out of town. And that's going to make them angry because they lost. And it says, matter of fact, in verse number 4, that Israel has become what? Odious, or a stench to the Philistines. They're disgusted, okay? What is their attitude? It portrays their attitude. Their attitude is, how dare they? How dare those Israelites attack our people? They don't say, well, I guess that makes sense, right? How would we feel if they were setting up a garrison in our town? I guess we got that coming. They don't say, ooh, Israel's they're pushing back a little bit. We need to be careful around them and try to be nice neighbors. No, they say what? What are they saying when they say they became odious? That's a great word picture. It doesn't mean that the Israelites literally smelt bad to the Philistines, right? They didn't come up and go, oh, you smell like an Israelite? Sorry, Kevin, you smell great, by the way. That's not what it's saying. What is it saying? I need the guys to help me here because this is the realm of trash talk, right? This is the realm of trash talk. What are they saying? How dare they? Nobody should challenge us. It's sort of like how the older brother gets when the little brother tries to step up and push back and be defensive, right? The older brother says, oh, you think you're going to push back? You think you're going to assert yourself? How dare you? Let me curb stomp you back down into your place so you will know never to step up and challenge again. If you want to berate somebody, you can physically beat them, but you also do a little bit of trash talk and verbal intimidation. What do you typically say about somebody? What's trash talk 101? Exactly. Your team stinks. That's what you say, right? Your team, I'm going to say this, and don't tell Ileana because she'll be upset at me. She'll get a third service and she'll be appalled. But your team is, come on, Eric, help me out here. Crap, right? That's what you would say. Your team is crap. That's what's going on here. Think about it. I know the text says Israel is odious, but are the Philistines saying, thou art odious, Israel? Is that the attitude that we find you distasteful and offensive to our nostrils. No. I need you to do the emotional hermeneutic, right? Interpret the text emotionally. What are they saying? It's a lot crasser and harsher than odious, isn't it? You guys are not. All right, there we go. The Israelites, on the other hand, when they hear about this, how are they responding to the news? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got in a fight at Gibeah and we beat them. We kicked them out of their garrison. Well, it's about time. Those guys have been pushing their luck around here for a long time. And now that we got a king and now that we got an army, we've already beaten the Ammonites. Ha ha! Look out. We're going to take you out, Philistines. So that's kind of the details that are going on here in verse number 4. And also you see another interesting detail in verse 4 where it says that Israel heard who smote the garrison. Yeah, the text says Saul. But we learned last week it was who? It was Jonathan. Maybe that's a technicality. I mean, after all, Jonathan is Saul's son and he's following his father's orders, but still, that's an interesting detail. I think there's some subtle exposure of Saul's character in that detail. Seems to me Saul's taking credit for something. Saul likes to take credit. Saul likes praise. But what we're going to see as we go through our character study on Saul, he's not really good at taking responsibility. Time and time again, you'll see he likes the praise of the people. He wants to look good in the people's eyes, but when something's bad's going on, he tends to deflect and throw the blame onto other people. And as a coach, sometimes I'm teaching my teams when something bad happens and they all want to start getting down and they all want to, everyone wants to blame the goalie when the goals get scored. And the goalie gets ugly at the defense because things get scored. And then, the defense is like, well, the offense didn't get back and help. And as a coach, you try to teach your players, good teammates take responsibility for other people's mistakes. You don't start casting blame and attacking your teammates. You need to say, well, what could I have done better and how can I do better? And it's my fault. I'll work harder on it. And Saul isn't a good teammate. He likes to take praise when things go well, and he likes to cast blame when things go poorly. He wants the nation to hear that he beat the Philistines, and perhaps he did. But the last time when they had their battle against the Ammonites, and after they won the battle and they came back and they were all celebrating, who was getting the glory? They were all worshiping God. In that time, they were all worshiping God. And this time, the word comes out and everyone heard it was Saul who won. 2 weeks ago, I asked Brother Jim if he would get up here and share his praise about the healing that God gave him. And time again, we see answers of prayer around here. And it's good that we take time to give the stories when we get on the other side. And we're not surprised Paige had a good surgery and all went well, and we're going to be celebrating when she's totally healed. That doesn't surprise us because we got a God who does heal. We believe in healing, and we do believe in God answering prayer. But as when Jim got up and he gave his testimony, he told, one of the details he told was that, I come to the elders of the church and they anointed me with oil and they prayed for me and the church prayed for him. And when he told the story, he didn't say, the elders healed me. He didn't say, prayer healed me. He said, God healed me, right? God brought the healing. Do you get what I'm driving at? The glory and the praise always goes to God. He's the one that gives us the victory. He's the one who gives us the strength. He's the one who pours out the blessings. Therefore, he's the one who deserves all the praise. I learned a long time ago that it's not about me and what I can do and what I can accomplish. Actually, I learned that that's a recipe for disaster, to be trusting in what Rob has the ability to do. But if I'm trusting in the Lord, if I'm obeying his word, and he's helping me overcome, he's bringing the victory, then I give credit, amen, where credit is due. You're going to see why that's important when we go to verse number 5 and 7. So let's break a little bit of fresh ground here this morning. It says in verse 5, the Philistines assemble. Okay, we won the battle and everyone heard about it. Woohoo! The Philistines assembled to fight with Israel, 30,000 chariots, 6,000 horsemen, and how many people? as the sand of the sea. And they came up and camped at Michmash, east of Beth-aven, where the men of Israel saw this, that they were in a strait. People were hard-pressed. The people hid themselves in the caves and the thickets and the cliffs and the cellars and the pits. And some of the Hebrews crossed the Jordan into the land of Gad and Gilead. But as for Saul, he was at Gilgal, and all the people followed him trembling. All right. This is why you've got to trust in the Lord. Because once the Philistine army shows up in full force, all that bravado stops. Yeah! Saul's a warrior, and we got an army now, and we're going to teach those Philistines a lesson. And, oh my, look at all the Philistines. Chariots. How many they got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 30,000. And how many soldiers? We can't even count them. It's like the sand of the sea. Remember a couple weeks ago when we were talking about Sisera in the book of Judges and how Sisera was terrorizing the land of Israel with his chariots? Remember how many chariots he had? He had 900 chariots. And he was running all over everybody's land and running over everybody's farm, and they couldn't do anything about him. And it took a miracle of God to deal with 900 chariots. How big of a problem is this one? 30,000 chariots. That's a problem. Yeah, well, they got all that, but so what? Because we've got Saul. And Saul's awesome because he's really tall. He's taller than all us. Yeah, they got 30,000 chariots, and they got 6,000 horsemen, and they got an innumerable army. We got Saul. And what else do we got? I told you this detailed before, but flip over to verse 19. Just a reminder, interesting part of the story here. By the way, there's no blacksmiths in Israel. Just so the author lets us know. None in the land of Israel. Everyone has to go down to the Philistines if they want to get any ironwork done. It says, why? Why was that? Well, they said we don't want them to have spears or swords. So you had to go to the Philistine territory to get any sharpening done of your garden tools. And they charged them a lot of money to sharpen their plows or their madlocks or their forks or their axes and to fix their hoes. So it came about the day, verse 22, it came about the day of battle that neither sword nor spear was found in the hands of any of the people who were with Saul or Jonathan, but they were found with Saul and Jonathan. So they got 30,000 chariots, 6,000 horsemen. Army is the sand of the seas. We got tall Saul and 2 swords. And what else? Our garden tools. Right? Everybody went to the shed and got out their rakes and their leaf blowers and their weed whackers. That's scary. That's what they got, right? Well, they didn't have the leaf blowers, but they had rakes and ox goads. Not a lot to work with there, is it? And so the guys are like, yeah. What's their response when they see that? We're in trouble, right? Basically, that's what they said in verse number 6 when it says they saw they were in a strait. That means that they're besieged, they're bound in, they're roped in, they're in a bad, bad position. When they saw that, what did they do? Verse number 7. What did they do? They took off, didn't they? Right? It says they went to Gad and Gilead. Okay, here's Michmash. Okay, here's Gilgal, where everyone met. It's very interesting. You see that it says in the text that the Philistines showed up in Michmash. And we learned last week that when they attacked Geba originally, where was Saul? He was at Michmash, right? So they attacked there, and then the Philistines responded by coming right to where Saul was. That's one of the problems when you try to take the credit. You end up getting the credit, right? So you think you're the big man, and then everyone showed up. Fortunately, he said, well, let's back up here so we can get the troops together. So everyone's supposed to meet at Gilgal, back here out of the way, and get our troops all settled. So once the folks, everyone gets there and they see the armies, they go to Gilead, and this is the area of Gilead, Jabesh Gilead, Ramoth Gilead. This is Gilead, and this is Gad. So here's where the enemy is. Here's where they're supposed to be, and here's where they went. Which way did they go? They went away, right? They went the opposite direction of where the enemy is. They looked at that crowd and they said, yeah, we're going to get out of harm's way. All of Israel heard about Saul's success over the Philistines. But you know what? It's one thing to hear about beating the Philistines. It's one thing to talk about. Yeah, we got an army. We got a king. We're going to beat them. It's one thing to talk about it. But hearing and talking is not the same as actually doing it. Is it? I think some of you might remember back in the summer, Roberto was bringing a buddy of his to church. His name was Miguel. Miguel is a 20-year-old young man. He stood out because he was about 6'2", 6'3". He loved playing basketball, and him and Roberto had played a little bit of basketball against each other, and he noticed, he was somewhat surprised, he noticed, oh, Roberto, you're not that bad at basketball. And he's, where did you learn how to play? And Robbie told him, well, I've grown up playing basketball with my brothers and with my dad. So he says to Miguel, you should come over. You like to play. You should come over to our house, and you can play basketball with my dad. And so sure enough, one Sunday afternoon, he came over after church, and we fed him, which was a lot. And then after we fed everyone, we went out to play a little bit of 2-on-2. And then, as we played for a little bit, Miguel was somewhat impressed that the old, fat, short, white guy wasn't all that bad. Now, whenever you are out in my community and you dribble a basketball, it's like it's like sonar that goes out, and all the young people live in the community can hear a basketball for 3 miles away. And as soon as you dribble a ball, inevitably, people will start showing up. Like, ooh, I hear ball. And they will start to show up on the street. And sure enough, we played for a little bit. A couple of young guys were hanging out, safe distance, a few houses away, watching, the side of their eyes at us playing basketball and checking out the talent that was out there, the skill. And after we played for a little bit, I said to Miguel, I think, the neighbors want to play. Should we do that? He's like, yeah. So I was like, okay. So I asked the young fellas, would you like to have a game? And they were like, yeah, sure. So this real tall, skinny young fella says, so y'all looking to get your butts kicked? And I'm cleaning that up for the church audience. That's sort of what he said, but a little bit more than that. See, I'm trying to keep it clean here this morning. And, and now, of the two of us standing out there, who do you think that comment was directed to? The 6'3", 20-year-old African-American, or the 40-year-old short, fat, white dude? To which I responded, yeah, okay, whatever. Because I've been doing this for a long time. I've been playing a lot of ball. I've been playing against a lot of young fellows on the street. And there's a big difference between saying you're going to kick my butt and actually being able to do it. Needless to say, David, on that afternoon, this butt was not kicked. So, now I'm telling you all that to tell you this. At church, we do a lot of talking about conquering the enemy, about not letting him set up strongholds. We do a lot of singing and preaching about the awesome power of God, hearing about the faith, hearing about the armor of God, standing strong in the Lord. But talking about it and being about it is two different things. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because at some point in your life, brothers and sisters, you're going to get hit hard. The enemy is going to come in like a flood with 30,000 chariots and an army of the sand of the seas. The attacks are going to be more than you can handle. And in that moment, it's not the time to talk about faith. It's the time to actually have faith and exercise faith. And if your faith is in your King Saul, if it is in yourself, if it is in your physical resources and your abilities and your skills and your philosophies and rationalizations, you're going to be running for the hills or you're going to get killed. Now, I'm sorry to dash all your self-help, new age, empowered philosophies, but positive energy, happy thoughts, clicking your heels together is not going to save you. At that moment, you've got to stop hearing about Jesus, stop talking about the power of the Holy Spirit. At that moment, you're going to need it. You're going to need faith. You're going to have to do it. You're going to have to call upon the Lord who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved, David says, from mine enemies. You're going to have to taste and see that the Lord is good. Not just hear about it, brothers and sisters. Not just talk about it. You're going to have to be about it. And we're going to see that Saul's real good at talking about it and telling people he's got the victory. But we're going to see if he can actually be about it and have the victory. And the same is true for you and I. We can talk about it. Can we be about it? When it's time to have faith and obedience and stand strong, do we have it? Lord, help us to have it. Help us to learn these lessons from these narrative passages of what to do when we see great faith and what not to do when we see people lacking in faith and have unbelief. And Lord, help us to learn to stand strong and to trust you and to live in obedience and to do it your way and to give you the glory and the praise. We pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.